My name is Melissa Pitotti. I've been working for the last 20 plus years looking at international humanitarian response to people who are in conflict situations or subject to natural disasters. And over time, I've become very interested in how humanitarians work and how we work together and how we manage our workload, because it just seems to be increasing every day, and the resources for it seem to be going the opposite direction. So I'm quite interested in 2026 when we're talking about workforce adaptation. How do we, those of us who are working to support the collective well-being, be it humanitarian or other of these kind of pro-social occupations, how are we adapting to kind of a global decline in resources at a time when we're seeing an increase in the use of things like artificial intelligence? In my community, there's a lot of skepticism about artificial intelligence. First and foremost, because we know the dark side of what can happen when information falls into the right hands, when it's not protected, when confidentiality isn't assured or privacy protections aren't adhered to. So I think in my community, there's been a reluctance to even experiment with different AI tools because there's a fear of the unknown. And you do see, however, a few people, for example, Silva Ferretti, who's been on the Embodying Change podcast, talking about how she uses artificial intelligence to bring it into evaluation and learning. You see Tristan at Sphere, who's bringing it in to look at how they support their members' learning and contact management systems. So you do see some pioneers in the humanitarian world as it relates to AI, but there's still, as a whole, a lot of uncertainty about how to adopt this new tool. And we know that it's something that has a lot of potential, because we are always looking for ways to be more efficient and to use the resources we have in the best way possible. It just seems that there's need for accompaniment for the bulk of people in my world to have someone who's been playing with the AI before and looking at some of these serious issues to be able to hold their hand and say, these are, your concerns are valid, and here's some of the things that we're doing to address those. I was a little bit of a late adopter because I also had this fear, and I also wanted to see the people who go before me, what happens to them. So when I came into the Champion Accelerator, I had dabbled in different AI tools, of course, ChatGPT, but I had started to see the potential of how AI could be applied in my workflows. For example, I mentioned the Embodying Change podcast. That's a podcast I host. And using a tool called Descript, I was able to really improve the quality of my editing there. I had studied self-paced courses like the PolySync course on AI for social good, looking more at the ethics. I had done one of those courses you can buy on the internet that gives you kind of exposures to tools. But the Champion Accelerator was my first time doing a live cohort program where we could engage with the instructors and the participants at the same time. Well, to be honest, some other people in my network had taken the accelerator and said it was life-changing, so I thought I should try it. I think that's the most important thing I've noticed with artificial intelligence is there's this power of the word of mouth. So even though there's a lot of information online, it's almost as if you know someone personally who's tried something and can vouch for it, you're much more willing to try it. And so two people in my orbit had gone through the accelerator. One had ended up using the accelerator, what she learned from that to bring it into her work. It was very, very specific work niche, and she was able to automate some things. And another one was looking for a job. So she was able to automate how she was applying for jobs in that sense. And I know that a lot of people come into that accelerator thinking from a more organizational perspective, where they might be a person who has tried using AI as an individual, but they want to bring their teams along. And I think this accelerator was the first time I'd heard of ChatGPT Teams function, and was playing with how to bring a whole team along, which I think has been kind of cutting edge in terms of what I've been seeing out there available to support on AI adoption. I can tell you what I was hoping for, and I'll tell you after like what actually happened, because they're both very good stories. I think I told you, I just want to learn. I'm hearing all of these stories of people who have unlocked huge potential using AI, and I'm really seeing that in my own work. I want to learn more how to do it. And the reason why I said there's a second part to that story is because I wasn't just learning the content, I was learning the practices from the instructors, but also the other participants. So to watch, it's almost like, it's almost like when you're learning to dance and you have an instruction manual and you can do it yourself, but it's much easier to learn to dance when you see other people who are a little bit farther ahead of you on the technique and you can mimic them. And so I felt that being around other people who are in a learning mode like me totally fast-tracked our learning. Yeah, so we would have a recurring rhythm of coming together. In between sessions, there was a WhatsApp group that people could share things that they were working on. But coming into the session, we would have, it was definitely well planned. There was a sequence of activities, group exercises. There was a framework for each module, how it built onto the previous module. And it was a clear success path for how we go from the basics of prompt hygiene up through more elevated automation considerations. So we were seeing a progressive model, and we had a series of group exercises, and we were using things like ChatGPT Teams to come together with other peers to co-create some applications to what we were learning. And I just wanted to say that having those group exercises, they were time bound. So we had maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes to complete an exercise. And I ended up feeling quite at ease later, because I would be in, I ran an event for one organization, and I ran a separate event for another organization, where I was able to use AI during breaks, like 10 to 15-minute breaks in the conversations, to come up with presentations from those. And that was totally because I had done it every week during the Champion Accelerator. I was quite at ease with collecting information and putting together a very polished slideshow or even video using AI, because I had practiced it. And that wasn't something I had expected. But I have seen it really impress audiences that I can do that. And I was thinking, I never had done that until this program. We had some group activities looking at co-developing a prototype for a solution to a common problem. And we had a choice of different problems. And my group, we all were interested in how to streamline the work that goes into creating social media, in my case, LinkedIn. And we had learned about a potential approach from one of the instructors, but using the methodology that Collaborix had done, where we had each done an analysis on what is our role in a team. And we realized that several people on my team were very creative, but we had a propensity to just keep spinning our wheels, and we needed one person in the team to say, this is good enough, let's ship it. And Collaborix had showed us that if we don't have someone like that in our team, we can assign AI to fulfill that role. And so we had AI step in and say, now it's ready, it's good enough, just ship it. And I think if we didn't have that, we never would have finished. We just keep perfecting. And in the end, we developed an approach that was quite relevant and easy to bring into our own daily experience. First of all, I save a lot of time engaging AI because I do a lot of talking to AI, and that's something I learned from one of the peers in there. I also save a lot of time because I ask the tool to write its own prompts with some steering. So the quality of the prompts are better. I'm much better organized at how I sort my different pieces of work into projects, so that there's a bit better management of memory and a little less creep. And then I think where it's really helped me stand out with my business is how I can use AI to communicate publicly. So I use it for slides, I use it for videos. I even made a client yesterday. I made her a private podcast, just coaching her on something. And I gave her a slide deck and a written workbook, but I also gave her a private podcast, and that was just a click of a button. So it's really helped me improve the value of what I'm delivering to my clients. And it's really helped me develop a much better way of working that brings in a lot more perspectives. And then I can see, okay, this first round is more biased. I saw that this morning. I was looking at something and I realized the presentation was biased towards the male applicants. And so we were able to adjust the bias. But it's really just a level of, I think the word that a lot of people they want to be confident in what they're doing. And this gives you if you were in a dance metaphor again, it makes you feel like you can dance without humiliating yourself. Yeah, well, I could tell in the cohort I was part of, several people had been in previous rounds and they wanted to come back. So that tells you something, that if they're coming back, they continue to derive value. In a lot of the programs I work with, you come for the content, but you stay for the community. And what I found was people felt quite alone or isolated in their organizational settings because they felt like they're the only ones who are experimenting or trying new tools. To be in a community of other pioneers, of champions or experimenters, meant they had a feeling of being less isolated, and also having a sounding board, saying, I'm trying this, it's not working. Oh yeah, I tried that too. You should try this other alternative. So I think it just gives people a place to exchange strategies, to get inspired, and to get energized, because for all its faults, AI is bringing a lot of energy into the conversation because it's new, it's developing, it's not boring. There's a lot of things that can be quite stimulating for people who are looking for ways to grow. Well, first I want to say that and I know that a lot of people feel embarrassed. They don't want to come into a group because they feel like they're too behind. And I would say, if you feel like you can't really show up because you're not as advanced as other people, then you should see that everyone is kind of in a learning mode right now, because the technology is advancing so fast that no one, even some people are selling courses for $50,000, $300,000. Everyone is still learning. No one is the absolute authority. And so I feel like in this day, we need to crowdsource our knowledge and we'll get a richer experience. So I would say it's for anyone, regardless of your level, who has an open mindset to learning new things and who is going to try and apply it. It's not for people who are just passive consumers who want to just watch. The lurkers behind, no, you need to come and you have to have no distractions, so you have to be engaged. But really, if you're curious, you're open, you want to learn, and you may have learned some things yourself that you're really excited to share. So it's a two-way learning way. I think you should consider it. I've been recommending it to so many people who are seeing the writing on the wall and saying, wow, our AI is going to change how we as workers or people, professionals engage in this workforce. We want to be ahead of the curve. I think it's for people like that who want to take this opportunity to learn while they can. So usually people hesitate for a few reasons. One, money, but it's a very good value for money. I would say that a lot of the programs I see out there are a lot more expensive, but this is very good value for money. Number two concern is people say, I don't have time. But I would say that for me, I had to set aside some time. At the time of day for me, I had to ask someone else to take care of my children, but it was worth it because now I save a lot of time. Like AI is planning my menus every week and my shopping lists. And so I got that time back in a certain way. The third reason people would hesitate is if they're afraid, but we talked about that. If they're afraid of being exposed as a neophyte who doesn't know what they're talking about, don't worry. And so, yeah, I'd say the best time to learn about AI was yesterday, but the next best time is when the Collaborix cohort is opening up next. Me, I'm very interested in people and how people operate. And I would say the one last thing that distinguishes what Collaborix is doing from the other programs is that it's run by people who engage with people. A lot of coaching or supporting things, looking at the human dynamics. And I think that's usually missing from these programs that are much more technical and looking at tools. But unless you have an approach that recognizes how humans learn and how we can overcome blocks to taking action, and these are blocks that are usually getting us stuck, and they're under the surface, so we don't really address them. So I'd say the final thing to think about with the Collaborix approach is that it's a human approach. And as humans, we need to keep that in mind when we're playing in this sandbox and then applying it to real human life, because as the human story is complex, but it's also really fun, and it's better to do it alongside other humans than just to do it on your own.